Welcome back to the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show.
We are back here on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. We switch gears now. And you know, one of the things that happens a lot of times in our community, we see businesses, they grow, they change, they reinvent themselves. That is exactly what has happened to one of the businesses in our community. Here to talk about not only how one business has not only changed its direction, it's grown, it's also changing hands, so to speak. Here to talk about that growth process, two individuals, two different perspectives. Janae Williams, Irv Williams, here on behalf of what I've always referred to as Ebony Development. It is now Ebony Holdings. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to start with Irv, only because for so long, Irv, you've kind of been the face of Ebony. And when I say that we see businesses grow, that's a good thing in our community, and that's what's
correct.
happened with Ebony.
And we have grown significantly, and after spending time realizing where Ebony has been, its ups and its downs, and looking at how businesses needs to keep reinventing themselves, so to speak, and moving forward so they can be ready for the next millennium, we actually were pretty fortunate to have a daughter who was able to be positioned to take over that particular lead. And so we've been speaking of succession, excited about it. I am.
Yeah.
She may not be because of some of the headaches that come along with the process of running and owning a business. But it's been a very good thing for us as a family-run businesses. And we're looking forward to that transition that actually comes from Ebony Development to Ebony Holdings, which we affectionately call E-Holdings, from an easier branding status. Now, previously, Ebony Development was a branded institution, and now E-Holdings is actually taken over to move forward in a new direction, which actually deals a lot more with public relations, public involvement, public participation planning, as well as a few other items that go along with that consulting venue so that we could actually transition into Janae.
Absolutely, and that's probably the perfect segue then into you. And Janae, I mean, this is actually a very exciting time then for you to make that transition because there's so much opportunity in the city of Pittsburgh at this time.
There is, and I think that one thing that we've been really good about or focused on is figuring out how we can take the qualities that he embodies as a person and make those profitable. And then during our transition, how we can take things that are important to me or skill sets that I have and take those and move those forward in order to do the same, kind of continuing that legacy that he started and upholding integrity and things that, you know, as I was raised were very important, but taking those and figuring out how to not only create service lines that are applicable to what people or clients are looking for these days.
So when you look down the road then, and I'll put this kind of out there for both of you because it is a transitional period, when you look at where you see E-Holdings growing, where do you see that going?
Well, one of our focuses for at least this year is to not only rebrand ourselves, but actually make sure that we make a niche market or become the go-to firm for clients who are looking for how they can incorporate community participation into their programs. So if it's a construction program, if it's a planning process, helping them understand why it's important to have community participation in that process and how they can go about getting it so that's an effective two-way dialogue.
Okay, and Irv, that kind of that so makes sense, especially when we look at your involvement, say, for example, in the Hill District, and when we look at how the Hill District has kind of evolved over the last few years. Were it not for community participation, we probably wouldn't even see the Hill District where it is right now.
And that's really correct, Lynn. I know that when we had started a lot of the construction issues and items that we had in that neighborhood, it was always with a focus to make sure that we engage the community, because as developers, commercial developers, we knew that we needed the community's approval to actually go ahead and start the process of changing the landscape of what that community would be like. And we call that the built environment when we look at the construction side of it. But there's also that part that actually says, what does this individual really want? How do they foresee their neighborhoods looking more or less in the future? And what are my grandchildren going to actually have to hold on to? And so that type of public involvement has been a centerfold of all of the real estate development that we have always done and will continue to do. We've gained quite a bit of knowledge about the process, about engaging the public. And Janae is a planner from education. So that was a perfect niche, and for her to actually be able to move forward in that whole realm of public involvement and participation as communities move forward so that they can redevelop and create what it is that they're truly looking for versus a commercial developer coming in and telling them it's got to be this way or no way at all.
Now, Janae, you're in this interesting position because you've got this legacy that you inherit in moving into this new position. At the same time, you are like so many young people that you have these visions, you have these ideas, and you've got the challenge of merging the two together. How big of a challenge is that going to be, and how excited are you about doing that?
Well, I think the challenge is huge. I think it's huge for a lot of reasons. One, I do want to continue the legacy. That's very important. I think a lot of time, energy, and effort kind of went into my father molding and shaping his dream and turning it into something that is realistic and tangible. My challenge is kind of taking that and adding something new and different to it. Since I've been there tirelessly, I've been working on that. And I think that we've, over the last 7 years, kind of got where we need to be, but the exciting part is where we can go from here. How we can take kind of our past experience, our past lessons learned, our past victories and challenges, and make those into something new, exciting, and continuing to make our company, or continuing to allow our company to evolve. I don't want it to get stagnant. I don't want my dreams 10 years from now to be the same dreams that I have. I want them to be different. I want them to constantly evolve. So I'm very excited, a little nervous about that, up for the challenge, and just excited that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to inherit a company that does have a legacy, and that they can continue and move forward and grow and kind of make something new and make it their own without the challenge of the first generation kind of saying, no, I've always had it this way, this is the way it needs to be, this is the way it works. I've been given that freedom, and so it's kind of like with much much power becomes much responsibility. It's a very exciting time, but I'm a bit nervous, and I'm just ready to take it somewhere new. I'm ready to allow him to retire.
There you go. There you go. So then, at some point next year, do you say, go home?
No, not quite. Maybe 9 months ago, I probably might have agreed to that. But no, I need him around a little bit longer now.
Okay, we'll take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap all this up on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. Don't go away. We're tight on time, but let me ask you, in 30 seconds, how will you judge your first year and your success in the first year?
I think if we can afford our clients the opportunity to have community participation in their programs that's effective and a two-way dialogue, then we will continue to kind of move forward our mission of connecting people in place.
There you go. All right. It's not an easy job, but we wish her well. In the meantime, I'm Lynn Hayes Freeland. Thanks for joining us. Jake Wheatley's here next week, so you want to tune in then. We'll see you next week.